Welcome to this week's edition of the Dakota Angler 2-Minute Fishing Report. Well, the good news this week is that the lakes have finally recovered from the heavy rain that we experienced last week. We had a little, rain over the weekend. That has impacted the lakes a little bit, but not as bad as what we saw earlier this month. But, guys are still finding fish. You just have to look a little bit harder. You got to change up that presentation. But it does look promising. It does look like the walleye bite is starting to improve around the area, and we're getting out of this dog days of summer type of pattern. This past week, though, the lakes up in the northeastern part of the state that produce walleyes include Dry Lake by Clark, Cochran. We haven't talked about that in a while. Also, Wabae, Bitter, Lynn, and Midland. Long in Coddington County, as well as Opitz, North and South Rush, Reed, Big Stone, as well as Indian Springs. Down the southeastern part of the state, really the bite hasn't changed much. It's the same usual lakes as you would expect. Ponset, Dry Lake by Willow Lake, Thompson, Sinai, a few being caught at Spirit as well as Whitewood. Oakwood, some have been caught there, but they've been on the small side to say the least. 81 Ponds, the main story there is a lot of weeds, and it's making boat traffic difficult to say the least. And then also a few being caught at Brant, Vermilion, and Twin. And remember, Twin is the trophy lake. Now, what have you guys been doing to catch the walleyes? And I should also mention the Missouri River continues to do well. It looks like the best bite is further to the north at this point in time. Now, as I mentioned, what are you guys doing to catch the fish? Nothing really that has changed from the previous weeks. Again, typical summer presentations, but a lot of people are using their forward-facing sonars and using the snap jigs and really coming away with some quality fish, to say the least. Whether or not you're using the hyper rattle by Acme or the jigging wrap from Rapala, or the shiver minnows. All of them have been producing really nice fish. Other people have been bottom bouncing with crawler harnesses as well as slow death. And then also, again, typical this time of the year, a lot of people are trolling with crankbaits, such as the Salmo Hornets, the shaky shads from Walleye Nations, and then also flicker shads and shad wraps. And remember, we have those custom color shad wraps, and we only have a few left of each of the color. So if you want some, make sure you stop on by the store here or order them online. And then other than that, jigs and swim baits. That's starting to come back, but again, fishing the weeds. That's the main story. If your jig is coming back and it doesn't have weeds on it, you're not doing it right at that location. So keep that in mind this upcoming week. In this week's edition of Todd's Tackle Tips, we're going to talk about crawler harnesses, because this time of year, a lot of people are bottom bouncing, and you would want to use a crawler harness or slow death. And then we talked about slow death before, and so this week we're going to talk about crawler harnesses. There are a number of different harnesses out there, 2-hook as well as 3-hook, a number of different blades, a number of different snells and snell lengths from different types of companies. But today we're going to talk about one, and the one we're going to talk about is the Acme rattling crawler harness right here. I'm going to try to give you a little bit of a close-up view of them, but what makes these things unique is that this spinner rig has a rattle in it right there. And this time of year, with our water being so stained, so green, that not only does the scent from the crawler help, but the rattle also helps. And you've seen this snell and this crawler rig on Tom Bowley's show. It works really well around here, especially this time of year. So I highly recommend the rattling spinner rig, the crawler harness from Acme. They come in two different types, two different blade sizes, one smaller and one larger, obviously. But if you have any questions about it, stop on by and take a look, and we'll be more than happy to show you the different colors that work really well. And the other thing is that you need to have the crawlers that go along with them. Now, obviously, I sell live bait for a living, and I prefer to use live bait. But if you're getting into a lake that has a lot of perch in it, or a lot of panfish, you may be getting bit off quite a bit. And that's when you want to move to more of an artificial bait. And what you have seen before from Uncle Josh or Acme is the pork crawlers. The pork crawlers work really well. You can cut them in half, you can slice them in half, you can make them into smaller sizes, to say the least, but these things have a unique scent to them, to say the least, and as you've seen from Tom Bowley's video, they work quite well. The other ones I would recommend are the new SR crawlers from Berkeley, the Gulp SR crawlers. They come in two different lengths, the 4-inch as well as the 7-inch, in a number of different colors. So again, the advantage of using plastics is that you're not going to get bit off by the aggravation from the small bites, small perch bites. So the advantage is to go to that, and you're not going to have to rebait your hook all the time. So again, this time of year, crawler harnesses, 2 hooks or 3 hooks, but also the rattle really makes a difference. And then also, again, if you don't want to use live bait, Or if you're in a lake that has a lot of perch in it and they're going after that crawler and you're having to rebait all the time, go to artificial and you'll have just as much success, if not more. And now it's time to take a look at a few photos that you sent in to me this past week. And remember, folks, if you'd like your photo included in next week's version of the 2-Minute Fishing Report, please send it to me. Send it to Todd at dakotaangler.com or post it to our Facebook wall. Before we end this week's report, I want to remind you to mark your calendars for the Dakota Angler Ice Institute at the Sioux Falls Arena and Convention Center November 10th through the 12th. Folks, if you're interested in ice fishing, that's the place that you're going to want to be that weekend. Unbelievable deals. The latest and greatest in ice fishing. It's just an all-around great time. So again, November 10th through the 12th at the Sioux Falls Arena and Convention Center. If you have any questions about that, or if you want to be a vendor and have your product out in front of thousands of people, give us a call at 605-336-9132. Well, folks, that's this week's version of the Dakota Angler Fishing Report. For Dakota Angler, I'm the owner, Todd Heitkamp, and as we say it around here, fish on! We'll see you next week, folks. Stay healthy and always stay safe.